Deltia'sGaming.com here with ESO UI for Dummies. This is part 4 in our Tamriel A to Z series. In this section, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about your user interface. So let's get started with user interface. Now, I'm going to assume you don't have any hotkeys set. I'm just going to open up things as I usually do and explain left to right, top to bottom. So with that being said, the very first thing we open up with is our inventory. It's default to I key. I don't know what it will be in the consoles. Working left to right, you'll notice the experience bar here. This is your level bar. So how much experience you need and what you need to get there to the next level. Now, generally for Elder Scrolls Online, if you put your mouse over something, it'll give you information about it. There's usually a little box you'll see to the right that will tell you information and then also what it's bound to. So in the inventory, what's the inventory? How do you get around in it? Because it is kind of complicated at first. Basically, your inventory has two things at the top, your inventory and the quick slots. Quick slots are like where you set potions, siege weapon for PvP, food, buffs, anything like that goes in your quick slots. So when you go to the quick slots bar, it'll have a list of items for like potions and that sort of thing that you can get to put in there. I don't have any right now, that's why it's empty. But then you can set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items in here. So the other part of the inventory, this is all. So you can scroll down, scroll up, and then it's categorized left to right. Weapons, apparel, so that's like rings, jewelry, armor. Potions or consumables. Materials, that's like anything for crafting that you need. Miscellaneous, this is going to be like locks, some trash items, soul gems, that sort of thing. Quest, these are quest items that you pick up that don't take up any inventory space. Junk, just like what it sounds like, junk. By default, you start with 60 inventory slots, which isn't a whole lot. You can max that out to about 110 without using your horse. If you want even more inventory, you can buy a horse and upgrade that, which I'll show you in a later video. Then you also have a bank for inventory. Inventory is a premium commodity here, and so your inventory is something you want to keep low. If you have excess mats that can be sold for cash, you're not going to use it, do it at a vendor in the store. So that's really the inventory screen. On the left-hand side, you have your apparel slots. Head, shoulders, gloves, legs, feet, belt, chest. You have 2 rings, a necklace, and then an appearance slot. That's where costumes go. So what a costume does is it'll disregard all of your clothes that you have equipped and put something up on you like a disguise. I like to use that for PvP specifically. Then you have your weapons. Now notice I have it's locked here. You unlock your second bar once you get level 15 or above. So right now I can only use one. That's why this weapon slot is locked for me. That's inventory. While my mouse is down here, I want to talk about the chat box. So left to right, there's a couple icons that are really helpful to know about. Unread mail. So this is your mail thing. People sending me stuff, and you can return items. That's what it looks like, return. You can take attachments. You can report the player if they're sending you bad crap, or you can also hit send and send them an item. You have friends here. So here's all my friends online. I have 92 right now. So a lot of people like to add me, and that's fine. I'm at Deltia if you want to. But just know that I play offline a lot. The reason I play offline a lot is I make a lot of videos, and I don't want to get whispers during the videos. So there's a way, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a way to set yourself online, away, and do not disturb. So like do not disturb, so you're not going to get any notifications. Offline is people can't whisper you. They literally cannot whisper you. They can still invite you to groups, can't whisper you. Away is kind of like you're just doing your own thing, AFK, just letting people know, and then online means, you know, people can whisper you and that sort of thing. So that's what that means. This is your ignored list, but I shouldn't show who's on my ignored list. So if you want to remove someone, basically change their ignore because you might have clicked it on the wrong reason. So like if you right click their name, you can edit notes. So like you can say where you met your friend from. You can send them mail. You can whisper them, which is a private message that not everyone can see. Invite to group. You can travel the player, which is a really cool function. Remove friend or ignore. So travel the player is really handy if you want to start exploring areas that maybe not be your level or you haven't got to yet. Remember, when you're traveling a player, it can only be to your specific faction. So if I wanted to go to Port Dune Watch, this guy's an Ebonheart Pack guy. I'm Alder Dominion. I can't travel there. It's not even open for me. So that's the contact section, and then you have the notifications. Notifications are invites to guilds, contacts. Basically, if someone completes a trial and sets a record, this will be right here. So I don't use this screen a whole lot, but just notice that you have it. Now, you have your characters screen here. This is where you get to attribute points. You can set your title. You can see like your maximum health, your stamina, spell power, active effects like a Mundus Stone, which pets you have activated, and then your level, of course, and what you're sitting at. So I just started this guy. My alliance rank is nothing. I have no titles, but just wait. He's going to get big and bad soon. Now we're moving on to the skills. So I have 0 skill points to spend. This is what tells you how to level your skill line, what experience you need to get it leveled up. I have a whole separate guide on skills and how to level your skill bar, but just know that each ability you put on your bar determines how much experience you get towards that skill. So hypothetically, if I wanted to level up Ardent Flame really fast, I would put 5 abilities on this bar and just go around killing stuff. That would be the fastest way to level up that thing. So 1 is only going to give you a little bit, 2 going to give you a decent amount, so on and so forth. So that's something to know that's important about skills. Another thing for beginners is you really want to put 1 skill from each of your class skill line to get it leveled up. I highly recommend that because the passive abilities later on in the game will be really, really important. So save yourself some time, level up at least 1 from each. Believe me, it's an important trick. Some other things in the UI specifically, it tells you how many sky shards you currently have and what's needed to get a skill point. 3 sky shards equals 1 skill point. There's probably 100 skill points just from sky shards in the game. I think there's 330 skill points right now, roughly, so you're going to have a lot to get, but you need a lot, especially if you're crafting. So you have weapons. These are something separate. Armor, world, race. This is your passives for your specific race, and then crafting. I'm going to cover skills later, but UI elements that we need to know is up here. What to level, how to level. Put your mouse over it. If you want to know what something does, put your mouse over it and it'll tell you. Or if you're in a console, put your clicker or cursor or whatever it's up on there. One more important thing on the UI. You notice I have spike armor, but this thing doesn't have a lock on it, but yet it's grayed out. The reason it's grayed out is because it requires a skill point. I'm out of skill points, so I can purchase this ability, I just don't have the skill points to do it. If I do, it'll have a little plus on it. So that's kind of the skills in a nutshell. Journal. This is where our quests are. Now we don't have any, but you could click on here and it would be an active quest. The lore library is books that we have found, lore books, mage books. If you're a lore nut and want to read some of the old books that you've got, you want lore library. Achievement. This is a really robust achievement system. It's super helpful for trying to find sky shards. So for instance, if you want to know if you found all the sky shards in Oridon, you come here and click, and it gives you a little clue. This is going to be really important for console players that don't have add-ons to find all the sky shards. So I will try to get videos or pictures up where all these sky shards are for you guys on the console. If you're on the PC, there's a simple add-on that shows you where they all are. So if you want to discover it on your own, don't use that add-on. It's called Destinations. But that's really important for the journal and the achievement system. Summary, character, collectibles, alliance, there's just so much stuff. And just don't assume that you know if you have all the achievements. Come in here and check it. And the nice thing to do is it tells you where you're at. So if I wanted to know Dungeon Ruler, how many names I've killed, you come in here and it'll tell you how much you're progressing, so there's no secret. Another thing to know is that there's a treasure chest little icon below this one. What that means is you're going to unlock a die, a title, or some other thing. So sometimes it's usually a die, but you can get a title. And so that way you can change your gear a unique way that someone knows you had to have got a certain title. That's a really cool thing to look at too. That really about covers it for the achievements. There's leaderboards here. So this is going to show you, if you are in the leaderboard, what the weekly is. So that way you can get some cool loot. So for instance, Alliance War, this is going to tell you which faction is in the leaderboard, which player, by class. Now, I don't have anything set, so you can't see that in a campaign. The weekly, this tells you what the weekly is, which is the Theory and Archive. 8 minutes. Wow, that's a good team. Got it done in 8 minutes. So To get in the leaderboards, you have to basically get, I think, within the 100 rank. So that shouldn't be a problem. Top 100, get a prize at the end of the week that gets mailed to them. And then you can see who's the best in which category for the weekly. So right now there's 3 trials, and then Dragonstar Arena veteran mode. 63 minutes. Wow. So that's a journal. Good job whoever did that. This is your map. It's pretty simple here. You'll have some other icons on the side, keys. So it tells you what icon represents. When you're starting the game out, it's going to be unfamiliar what the map reads like and what these guys are. Just put your mouse over it. If you want to know stables, you have these keys that will tell you. But the one important thing people don't understand is this white versus black screen. So you see here, this is a Shrine of Mara. See how it's whited out? But you notice that this Vocal Guard isn't. What that means, there's something left to do in Vocal Guard. Generally, it's a quest or an area that you haven't discovered. So if you're looking for things to do on the map, you come here and see what's blacked out. Okay, so the harbor is blacked out. Well, I know there's probably a quest there or there's something to do there. That's really important if you're looking to level and move on to another zone. If you're a completionist like me, you gotta do everything in the zone. So you can filter out things like objectives. So if you didn't want anything on your map, you could do that. Way shrines, which is for travel, and then locations. So anywhere in the game. Now we haven't visited this stuff because we just started out. So that's a little bit about the map. Group. Grouping is a little more difficult in Elder Scrolls Online. One of the downsides, I think, right now. Hopefully that will get updated. So it's a pretty simple mechanic. Really, you have this invite down here at the bottom, and then you send someone an invite. So at whatever or their character name, they get into your group. The important thing to do here is set your preference. Preferred role. Damage, healer, tank. The Holy Trinity. I'm primarily a damage dealer, but I will do some tanking later, so I'm going to click those. What that does is it sets you up when you're looking for a group for those particular roles. So that way other people might have a healer and a damage dealer, and they're looking for a damage dealer and tank. And then that way it can get you grouped with other people. And that's what this key is for. Grouping tools. So if you're looking for a group, you're new to the game, you don't have a guild yet, and that sort of thing, use the looking for a group tool in the group section. You go to world or dungeon, and you'll notice none are available because I haven't hit the highest enough level to get there yet. So that's why this is blacked out, essentially, if you will. But it has all sorts of things: Alliance War, dungeons, veteran dungeons, or even trials. So if you can't find a group in the zone, think about using this. It gives room for improvement, but it's better than nothing. Contacts we already talked about. Guilds I want to talk about. So you're allowed to get into 5 guilds, which is nice. If you're a guild leader, you can create and join your own guild for free. So if you're starting this game right away on consoles, secure that guild name that you want to have. If it's a funny one, or if it's something like Omega or something like that, there's going to be a lot of people that take it. I'm not going to tell you my console guild name is yet, so you guys don't steal it on day one. But this is your guild, so you can select which one you want to look at. So we're going to go Epic Synergy. So the top here has home, roster, ranks, history. So roster is going to tell you who's all in it, which faction they're in, what their status is, if they're online, or how long it's been since they've been online. So Deltia 17 minutes ago. Their user ID or their @ name, and then if you highlight over it, the character that they're playing. What they're doing, where they're at, their class, and then their veteran rank. So that's kind of cool. You can also see your guild bank is enabled, heraldry is enabled, store is enabled. So it takes 50 to get a score, I think 50 to get heraldry, which is a tabard, and then your guild bank is around 10. So if you want to join a guild and see if they're basically got their crap together, this is how you do it. Go to ranks. So this is the rank system here. And what they can do. So I think I can edit some ranks. Oh, I guess I can't. But this is the ranks. So if you wanted to see what a member can do, you would come here. History. So this would basically tell you who joined the guild, who left the guild, some banks, what are they withdrawing, what are they putting in, deposits, sales. So if people are buying stuff off the auction house, your guild store, that sort of thing. Who's hired the traders, purchased, and then ownership of keeps. So if someone claims a keep for your guild, all these things, I know this is a ton of information, but come back here. I'm going to break down each thing later. So if you're wondering what guild alliance is, I'm going to explain that, because you can claim keeps in PvP. Speaking of alliance, this is your PvP tab. It tells you what your alliance rank is, how many points you need to get, or alliance points, which is kind of like an experience point system for PvP specifically, or player versus player. The top thing here is your home and then your guest. Your home campaign gives you a special bonus to PvE. So anytime you do something, you might get a little more crit, maybe a little more health. So it's really important where you home. You want to home in a campaign that you expect to dominate. So for me, it's usually the Hatteras campaign. That way you get all the buffs, whether you're doing your own thing soloing, you're in a dungeon, or you're with the group in Cyrodiil. You want those buffs. Then your guest campaign, I like to set it to a place that's really busy. So for me, you have a list of them. I can't set it yet until I hit level 10, and then you can see if they're busy. So Azura Star, you have 43 friends there, 61 friends, 280 guild members, and it's locked out. So once it reaches a certain timer, it gets locked out. You can still queue for it with the E button, though you'll be placed in a queue. So it's kind of nice to set both things. That way, if your home campaign's, full, you can go to a guest campaign and still PvP. Generally speaking, there's always a battle to be had so you can get in. So don't get frustrated if your home key is taken. Another important thing about home keeps is that's how you get placed in the leaderboard, fighting for your home campaign. You can fight in a guest one and earn alliance points and still improve your rank, but you can't get on the leaderboards in your guest campaign, so it has to be home. The mail system, it's pretty simple. To subject, you can send gold or you can COD. There is a kind of a steep postage price, so if you're sending like an item for 100,000 gold, it's going to charge you based off that. So you're better off trading really high commodity items. But that's about it. People send me mail all the time, so I don't want to show you guys that. And then notifications, we already went over. Here's an important part, help. A lot of people, this is undervalued. This is how you submit feedback in game. A lot of times people want to call customer support and they just tell you, do an in-game ticket. This is how you do an in-game ticket. By default, it starts with the tutorials. So if you don't know anything about armor or dying, you can come in here and find basically information on everything in the game. Quick slots, loading screens, inventory, combat. It goes on and on and on. But let's say that we found something, so we got stuck, we couldn't progress because of a group bug. You click the customer support. By default, it takes a while to load. So it's loading up the knowledge base, basically trying to find answers for you so you don't have to bug customer service. Working left to right, you got ask for help. But this is actually how you report a player. Submit a bug report. Provide feedback. So, hey, I think this sucks. This is great. Here's why. And then searching. So the difference between asking for help and a bug report. A bug report is basically something in the game is not functioning properly. Ask for help is my game screwed up, my account's hacked, or a player's threatening me or doing something. Those are the two things you can do. The nice thing about this is if we select a couple subcategories here, put a description, you can actually include a screenshot, bang, right there. And so it actually takes a screenshot of what you're seeing on the map. That's really nice. If you're doing a bug report for the first time, some general tips. Tell them where you are, what level you are, what time it was, who you were with, and what was happening. That's all you had to do. You don't have to write a novel, but at the same time, it helps the programmers try to solve the issue. The more information they have about it, the more they can help you with. There's so much more to UI in this game than what I'm showing you here. A couple things that I like to do in terms of UI when I'm starting a new character is setting some things always on. So you go to settings, video. This is your graphic settings, nothing to do with your gameplay besides how it looks. Custom scale, you can kind of set things up. So if you want a bigger menu, you go to custom scale, and so maybe if you have some vision problems, you can set it there. You got particle distance, so that means like your particle effects on other players. So if you have a lower performing rig, you basically want to turn this a little bit to the left. That's really all that affects your gameplay in this. Audio, you can turn music on and on, play music in the background. So if you're Alt-Tab and want to know if something's going on in game, that's where you turn that on. Gameplay. Some really important things here, combat clues. So what this does is if someone's charging a big, huge, heavy attack, you won't know that it can be interrupted unless you leave this on. I highly, highly recommend leaving this on. Double tap to dodge roll. By default, this is on. I do not like it. I rebound my dodge key to V because it's really important to be able to click it right away, though you can. Battle level, this basically scales everything to VR5, that if you haven't reached VR5 in an Alliance War, you'll be at VR5. So instead of walking into Cyrodiil with, say, 100 hit points, going up against someone with 3,000, you'll have 2,200 or 25, roughly somewhat close, so you can actually play and enjoy yourself. Consolidated area loot, I like this on because if there's a bunch of mobs that you've killed, it basically loots them all at once. Auto loot, I like this on, but on the console version you may want to leave it off. The reason why is there's add-ons in game that tell you what you loot without having to sift through it. I just loot everything, so I like that on. Hide helmet, we got a ridiculous helmet on right now, so we're going to hide that. Tutorials, on or off. Now, I've done this game a million times, so I'm going to turn it off. Couple things here, not that important. Interface is really important. Ability bar. Now, if you're a real player and really want to feel immersed, leave it off, but I like always show. What this is going to do is always show my abilities in the bottom of my screen. See that now? They don't go away. I really like that. So I hit escape, go back. A couple other things. Soul Reservoir. That is basically automatically displays a soul reservoir, which is essentially how many lives you can resurrect with. I like to leave that on automatic. Active combat tips, so that's kind of a heads up as what's going on with the mechanics. I like that on automatic. Quest tracker, I do like that because that tells you what quest you're currently on and how you're doing it. Health bars, I highly recommend turning them on. It's easy to identify enemy targets with a red big bar on their head without it. So I like that. These other indicators I don't mess with. You can do chat bubbles. If you want to see how many frames you're doing, how much latency, you can set that. Some other good settings in here. Social, I don't mess with that too much, but controls, I highly recommend going through and rebinding controls to what's easy for you. I like to rebind my roll, my dodge roll. I like to rebind bash or interrupt. I like to rebind auto walk. That's really important to me. And then the synergy key. Something you're going to click a lot because believe me, synergies are really important. We'll do another video on that in the future, believe me. Then you have add-ons. I don't know what's going to be on the console, so I'm not going to assume you're going to have this. And that's really the UI elements of the game. Now, there's a lot more in-depth UI elements that you can add on the PC since there's add-ons available. I'm going to assume no one has access to that, and you have a nice, clean-looking screen. I really highly recommend turning on health bars and turning on your ability bars, because you forget what's in slot 1 versus what's in slot 5. And so that is the UI for beginners, or noobs as we like to call it. So I hope this was helpful. This was Tamriel Part 4 and A to Z, going through everything there is to know about Elder Scrolls Online for you PC players maybe coming back to the game starting, or console players that are looking to get involved in June. Thanks for watching as always, and tell me, what are some helpful tips that you guys use for user interface? Thank you for watching this video, and we'll catch you later.